All right, Facebook Live. About to go on Podbean and hit that live button. You know what that means. We're going to be live in 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody. Good morning and Happy New Year, and welcome to the New Year's Day edition of the MURF and EDUBBS show. Me and EDUBBS are pretty pumped. We got to sleep in today. I know EDUBBS is normally up early as I am. I slept till 8:30 today, and I know my partner slept till 7:30, and I know he's awake and waiting for me to contact him. E, you there, brother?
Murph, Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year to you, brother. How you doing today?
Doing great. Starting 2023 off on the right foot. A lot of sports going on, a lot of sports last night. It's a crazy time of year, Rich. The holidays are over now, but it seems like the madness is still around the sports world.
Oh, absolutely. The madness is always going to be around in the sports world. It's the end of the year, and we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. A lot of people passed. We had some records broken this year. It was a pretty good 2022. But, E, this is episode 26, man. Like I said, 26 episodes, and it was keeping on going. You know, we like to do something like a little hokey stuff about the number 26, you know, any recognizable 26s, but 26 is a hard number. I know you were telling me that you did a little research on the number itself. What do you got about the number 26 for our show, E?
Well, before we get started on the number 26, Rich, how was your New Year's Eve, may I ask?
How was my New Year's Eve? My New Year's Eve was actually really good. All right, every year we go out. We go to Azumi's over there in Wappingers. We go out there, get some, what's it called, hibachi. You know, it's fun. We went out last night with a bunch of friends of ours, a bunch of people, you know, go out the Uvas. We went out with the Sweeneys. I know you guys know them. We had a really good time. We went back to our friend's house. It wasn't crazy, you know. We're all in our 40s and 50s, so we're not going crazy, staying out till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Me and my wife stayed up till about 2:30 watching some TV. That's a little late for us. But for the most part, we went back. You know, we watched the terrible ball dropping ceremony. Now, I don't know about you, but my buddy Doug listens to this show, and I think he should sign up next year to become one of the bands that performs at that New Year's Eve show, because I had no idea who any of them were, and they all sucked. Doug, you can move your way right in there and become the Times Square show, buddy. But yeah, it was it was nice. It was nice. We were home, you know, everybody, close friends, close family, and that's exactly what New Year's is supposed to be about. What did you do, E?
Yeah, we had a quiet New Year's. I mean, nothing, like I said, we're in our 50s too, Rich, so
yeah, man.
Nothing out of the ordinary. We went to the casino yesterday, Rich. We checked that out in Newburgh, in the mall. A mall and a casino. How about that, Rich?
Let me ask you a question about that place. See, I've been reading about that. I know it just opened.
A casino in the mall, I meant. Yeah.
What I'm saying, listen, what do you call it? I've been meaning to ask you. I don't know anybody that's gone up there. You actually went up there. Comparatively to other casinos, is it kind of like a ghetto place, or is it nice? Like, how does it stack up to, like, you know, the one way upstate and the other place? Is it nice?
Well, you know, it just opened on Thursday, Rich.
Right.
The 28th it opened, or whatever date the 28th was. So the opening day was that day. It was on the news and everything, advertised, but it's in a mall, Rich. It's all video. There's no dealers or anything. There's no sports book. I like the one in Monticello better. It was almost like an arcade for adults, and I was kind of wondering if people were going to start winning and getting tickets and turning them in for those, those arcades with those teddy bears or the appliances that you spend like $900 on just to get like a $20 teddy bear or a $10 coffee pot. You know, spend $900 to win. But it's weird because we went outside, ordering outside, and the guy said, "Oh, there's some good restaurants here. There's Buffalo Wild Wings and the Flamingo Chinese buffet." So they need to work on that. There's no restaurants in the area, and it's funny when you walk out of the casino into the mall. The mall's pretty desolate, but over to your left you see Weight Watchers. So it's kind of weird seeing a casino in a mall like that. You know, the thing I didn't like, Rich, is when you walk into the casino and people are smoking cigarettes right by the door. I kind of don't like that. I kind of think they should be like a couple of, maybe about 100, 200 feet away with their cigarettes and stuff like that. But that was like one of the down points. And one of the weird things is, Rich, you have to be 18 and over, not 21 and over.
Okay.
And the reason why is there's no alcohol served on the floor. It's just like soda on the floor. But they did like a sports area with a couple of TV sets, and people were able to watch some sports. But there's no sports betting. So I'd rather go 30 miles north to Monticello where I can bet on sports or just pull out my trusty, rusty iPhone 13 and make a bet on FanDuel. So,
Exactly. You just here, just rewind a little bit about the casino for a second there. You said there was a lot of smoking involved in the casino. Now I got to tell you, man, like I know it's annoying.
Outside.
Oh, outside. What I was saying is like if you take smoking away from people that go to casinos, A, the Chinese love casinos and they love to smoke, so no Chinese people wouldn't come anymore. And B, it's a high stressful situation when people are gambling all that money. I think like if you're a smoker, I think a cigarette would feel pretty good after you lost about $1,000. But if they would have banned smoking in there, that would be that would be bad for business, I think.
No, there's no smoking allowed in the casinos. They were smoking outside.
Okay.
And, like I said, right by the door. So when you walked in, you got a nice little breath of nicotine and tobacco and stuff, which
That's
is
beautiful.
Not my fun and games.
No,
like
me
I
neither.
said, casino in a mall, didn't knock my socks off. But
At least they could have been smoking weed. You could have gotten some secondhand smoke. You know what I'm saying? That secondhand smoke wouldn't have been too bad.
It's funny because Ben and I went to Yankee Stadium on Thursday for the Pinstripe Bowl. It was Minnesota versus Syracuse, and these folks from Minnesota, I'd never been around so many, I guess they're called Minnesotians in my life, maybe.
Right.
But we had these seats with like little tables on it, and there was a guy behind us who decided to walk on the tables to advance rows, and
Great.
he almost landed on Ben. These guys were so drunk and high and stuff, and I couldn't believe the Yankee Stadium security, which was non-existent, but there was so much weed in the stadium. It kind of felt like the 1970s when my dad used to take me to Yankee Stadium, and they'd be smoking weed like crazy. But yeah, it was a good time on Thursday too. The weather was nice, and we saw a good football game. University of Minnesota beat Syracuse. I know cousin Joe is out there. He had some money on that game. He just fell short, but that's what happens sometimes. But I also want to thank cousin Joe. He's out there right now for filling in for me this week. Cousin Joe did a Tuesday show with you, Rich.
Yes,
and,
he did. Did a great job as usual.
Wednesday as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was. That was what I was gonna say. You were very busy this week, and I went on twice. Cousin Joe really helped me out big time. You did a great job the other day, Cousin Joe. I want to also talk a little briefly. I'll just give you guys real quick. I talked to my buddy Josh Shoemaker the other day, and Josh is big into the wrestling world, and the reason we did a whole show on that is I'm trying to bring to light, and as me and E, we're trying to bring to light some sports in the area that people really don't really know about. You got your baseball, basketball, football, even hockey, but a lot of people out there, don't really know too much about wrestling. So if you guys are listening out there today and you want to get get an education on the great sport of wrestling, college and the high school level, you can listen to that interview, and that's going to parlay me into something else. And my cousin Sean texted me the other day, and he's right. Like his birthday is December 26th. I want to wish him a happy birthday, belated birthday to my cousin Sean. But the reason why I'm bringing that is up. He was a college wrestler as well. So my next step in this process is I'd like to get Josh and my cousin Sean on to discuss the sport of wrestling, because Josh being a product of Pennsylvania wrestling, and my cousin Sean being a product of pretty much city wrestling, being from Staten Island and going to Manhattan College, how the two worlds collide and see how it's different. Pittsburgh, being a Pennsylvania wrestler and being a city wrestler. I want to get in and delve into that world a little bit. And we also have something coming up, Ben, Eric, that we're going to do with your son. Now, your son bowls. Your son's a bowler, right?
Yeah, my son was on the bowling team at John Jay. He won all-county awards. They had some team at John Jay that year. Unfortunately, COVID knocked them down, so they only were able to do the regionals. They weren't able to advance to Syracuse, but that team definitely would have gone to Syracuse that year. And just like COVID, disappointed everything and disappointed the bowlers that year. But he had such a fun time doing it. He lettered in bowling. It was a varsity sport, so you know what? He was involved, and it was good for him. He enjoyed it a lot and enjoyed the kids, and they still bowl to this day. They go over to the bowling alley every once in a while. And they meet up these kids.
Yeah, I mean,
network of bowlers.
And you know what? People need to know about stuff like that, because listen, not everybody's a baseball player, football player, basketball player. There's a lot of sports out there for the youth to get into, and like I said, wrestling being one, bowling being one. There's a lot of different sports out there, and we're gonna be hopefully. I'm just waiting on an okay. I know I usually put stuff out there prematurely, but I went over to Fishkill Bowl yesterday, Eric, and I talked to the assistant manager, whatever. And he's gonna talk to the owner. We're gonna do a live feed from the bowling alley, and I'm gonna have one Big Ben Weisfeld against a really good friend of our family, Louis Fred. They're going to go, they obliged us and said that they're gonna go 1-on-1 for the show. So they're gonna little competition, and we're gonna hopefully give a little exposure to Fishkill Bowl and to the sport of bowling. John Jay, they got a pretty good bowling program over there. So anybody that's looking for a sport, and all the other ones, you're like, all right, try bowling, try wrestling. Those are two really, really good sports that not too many people know about.
Yeah, Rich, one day I went to one of his matches, and I think he had like about 8 strikes to start a game, and it was kind of like watching a pitcher pitch a no-hitter.
Right.
He didn't get the perfect game or anything like that, but I think he got in the 250s that day. But it was just so fun to watch.
Yep.
And I couldn't say a word to him either. I didn't want him to get out of his zone, but it was like kind of like walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
It's a very exciting game to watch, and I did happen to see somebody roll a 300, and it's just amazing. 300 in bowling, it's like there's no room for error, right?
But that's the reason why, Ernie Alfred, friend of ours that listens to the show, he called me the other night, and with that idea, I says, listen, I'm watching 300s be bowled, almost on a weekly basis on Wednesday nights at Fishkill Bowling. Why don't you get, a live 300 on the air? I don't know how many people have gotten that, but hey, our little local town of Fishkill having a lot of 300 bowlers, the bowling community might think that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying, E?
No doubt about it. Yeah, I think it would be very great. It's a winter sport. People are hibernating now, and going out to the bowling alley, going here, going there. Not too many people doing outside stuff nowadays. Although the weather is kind of weird because we usually saw white on the ground this time of year. But I'm not complaining. We're already turned the new year, and we're just 89 days from the baseball season starting. So that's great, Rich.
Yeah.
Every day that passes without snow is good for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to say one more thing. Again, we were talking about the sports that people don't know about. I got put in contact by a gentleman named Kieran Mitchell. Is a young man that lives up here, and he's the head of the I think it's the Dutchess County Gaelic Football Association, or the GAA. It has to do with Gaelic football. I was texting back and forth within the last couple of days. I'm going to call him today, and we are definitely in the next day or two going to do an interview with this guy. His name is Kieran Mitchell. If you guys are into Gaelic football in Dutchess County, you can go on his Facebook page. He's got all the information you're going to need. Gaelic football is a tremendous sport that really not too many people know about. And the reason why I thought about it is, like, I got a friend of ours, Kevin McCarthy. He peeks in here and there, and I know he was very heavily involved in the Fishkill Little League community with baseball. And, as it got on, his kids, like, maybe, I don't know if they probably still like baseball, but he wanted to go find something different for them. And he enrolled them in Gaelic football. And I wanted to talk to him originally. And he said he's not too, he really don't want to get on the mic to talk. But he definitely put me in contact with this guy who runs the GAA of Dutchess County. So I'm going to, in the next day or two, watch for that interview coming. It's going to be a lot of good information. Like I said, if your parents that are looking for another sport, Gaelic football is definitely another sport to get involved in. So I'm going to be talking to him over the next couple of days. So look out for that interview. That interview is going to happen. I already talked to him, so.
That's funny. We kind of touched on Gaelic football, and you actually told me it's kind of like it's more
tough dudes
than the itself, right?
Yeah, they're tough, dude.
The
yeah.
Gaelic football.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Crazy. So I have some facts about the number 26, Rich. Today's the 26th show.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, I'll
roll
them around. I know some of our fans like trivia out there. So the number 26, the atomic
Carlos,
number
what's up,
iron.
dude?
And I had a lot of iron yesterday eating my 30-ounce porterhouse steak, which was delish. Also, 26 miles in a marathon plus 385 yards. EDUBBS did a half marathon, 13 miles, and there's no way you can get me to do 26 because I thought 13 was crazy a couple of years ago, and then a month later I blew my knee, so we wouldn't see that happening ever again. 26 guys on a Major League Baseball roster. I know baseball keeps coming up on our show.
Yeah.
26 letters in the alphabet, of course. 26 is the age you can no longer be drafted in the United States.
Wow.
Here's one for you, Rich. There's 26 counties in the Republic of Ireland. How about that?
Yes. Yep.
Teddy Roosevelt, the 26th president, and the 26th state to join the Union of the United States was Michigan, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in Michigan today that are crying in their beer. What about number 26 for athletes? We'll get to the why Michigan people are unhappy today.
Yeah.
But 26 for athletes, Rich. Who'd you come up with for number 26?
There's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of athletes that wore the 26, but nothing really stood out to me. It's really only two. I mean, they're both. You got Rod Woodson. Hall of Fame cornerback from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The guy was amazing. He wore the number 26. And Listen, any Yankee fan, baseball fan is going to know this name. One of the greatest hitters to ever pick up a baseball bat. Wade Boggs wore number 26. So those are pretty much the only two guys that are, of notoriety that I came up that wore the number 26. That Rod Woodson and Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs was a beast.
Yeah, Boggs wore number 12 with the Yankees.
Right.
He wore 26 with the Red Sox. Also, Billy Williams, Cubs Hall of Famer, wore number 26. But I looked through the Yankees in history wearing number 26.
I know, brother.
The best name I can come up with, El Duque. That's the best name I can come up with.
El Duque. I forgot about El Duque. Yes.
Yeah. Also, the Mets that wore number 26. Also, El Duque.
Yeah.
He pitched in the Mets when he was like 41. He actually pitched pretty good with the Mets, but Dave Kingman wore number 26 as well, Rich.
That's right, Dave Kingman. I forgot about that. Damn it.
Number 26.
Yeah, how did I not know? I'm so mad at myself now. I forgot Dave Kingman wore number 26. That's the whole reason why I became a Met fan. Because of Dave Kingman. I can't remember that. Jeez. All right, whatever. I'm never going to forget that Dave Kingman wore the number 26 again. I'm so disappointed in myself. That's the main reason why I became a Met fan.
That's funny, Rich, because I saw that and I was like, wow. I looked at the list of these New Yorkers that wore number 26, and, the Yankees have not retired number 26, so anybody should take that going forward. But not a good number if you're a sports guy, number 26.
No.
But, Rich, looking back at the year, who do you think the best athlete was to put in any sport in the year 2022? And I bet you know where I'm going with
all right.
this. But,
I know that's a very strategic answer from my partner because we've been talking about this all morning. I woke, listen, I slept in a little bit, but most of my research today was trying to come up with an athlete that's the best athlete of 2022. Now, there was a whole rundown of people that have done fascinating things. And before I say who I know it is, listen, there's a kid in LSU. He's a track and field runner. This is where how petty I'm getting with my search, to overshadow Mr. Judge, which is not going to happen, but it's how petty I'm getting. I found a track and field guy at LSU that literally won state championships, 18, first place medals. Like he was just ridiculous. He was the top runner, track and field college athlete in the entire country, and he got a lot of accolades of being a college track athlete. But unfortunately, nobody in the country really cares about college track and field. And yes, go ahead. I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you, talk about this guy that we both know. Aaron Judge is the athlete of the year. He just did a lot of stuff this year. Average. He's a nice guy in the public eye. 62 home runs. I mean, listen, Aaron Judge, I'll give it to him. And the fact that he's not a douche, he's a nice guy. He'll be celebrated this year, I guess, in our eyes as athlete of 2022. Other guys did some stuff in baseball, football, but not to the amount that Aaron Judge did. Now, I love to hear you wax poetic on Mr. Judge here. Here, you got the mic, E. Tell us why Aaron Judge is the best athlete of 2022.
Okay, Rich. Now, I know our fans, they say enough baseball already. We just can't get enough baseball, you and I. But I think we got to put a bow on it soon. And, Carlos Correa thing's still out there, so we might have a blip, in the upcoming days about that. But here's why Aaron Judge is athlete of the year. And not only that he hit 62 home runs, he broke the American League record for home runs, blah, blah, blah. But you know what, though? Rich, he hit home runs off 56 different pitchers. How about that, huh?
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow. That's crazy, yeah.
He hit home runs, he hit home runs in 16 different stadiums.
Wow. Okay.
He hit home runs against 19 teams.
Hey, let me ask you a question. How many of those home runs were hit in National League ballparks, do you know?
I didn't go that far in depth, but he hit 19 teams, the 16 stadiums. He hit a home run in every inning from the first inning to the 10th inning.
Wow.
He hit 13 home runs batting first in the lineup. He hit 2 home runs leading off a game, the tallest ever to do so. And one of them got EDUBBS $100. I put a $2 bet on a FanDuel thing. He hit the first pitch for a home run, so I won $100. Thank you, Aaron Judge. He won the home run title by 20 in the American League over the next guy. He led the American League in runs scored by 30. He led the American League in total bases by 82. He led the American League in OPS by 92 points over the next guy. And here's one. No Detroit Tiger hit 18 home runs this season. Aaron Judge had 18 home runs by Memorial Day.
Wow. Yeah, listen. Yeah, like I said, he's athlete of the year. Guy's MVP of baseball, American League. He's the home run king. He's the Yankees home run king. Do you real quick? We're gonna get off baseball because I know everybody's sick of hearing about baseball. But my last question to you, just a yes or no answer. You don't have to go into it. Will Aaron Judge break his own home run record in this 10-year contract?
Absolutely. Yeah, no. It's kind of difficult to do that.
All right.
As long as he's consistent.
Exactly, Ben.
And like
No.
I said, I went to the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium on Thursday, and the judges' chambers were still there.
Yeah.
All the rumors that they were taking it down, the judges' chambers were still there. But yeah, no, he will not break his record. But,
All right, so listen. Here's another thing that I want to discuss you before we close the thing on baseball about the home run thing. I know we have our silly little bets, but for next year we're going to make up a silly little bet. But I know we have our football one this year. I'm going to bet you that Pete Alonso hits more home runs than Aaron Judge next year.
Okay, deal.
All right. We'll talk about a little bet, but that's going to be our next big bet after this football bet. Pete Alonso hits more home runs than Aaron Judge. You heard it here first, and me and E are going to have a little bet about it coming up. So, all right.
I'm sure our friend the Abashal will remind us as the season goes on. But one more thing, Rich. We did lose some great athletes in 2022. Who do you think the biggest loss in the sports world was, Rich, in 2022?
There's a lot of people died this year. The biggest loss in the sports world. I mean, look, he was an older guy, but Bill Russell, right? How about that? Bill Russell, Pele, Franco Harris. Like, there's a lot of, there's a lot. Listen, you know what we forgot about, Tui? And I forgot about this guy. Remember to give me anything? Jeremy Giambi died this year, dude.
Oh, yeah, suicide.
Suicide.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the most, like you said, like the most pinnacle ones, like, we could talk about. Like, who do you like? I would say probably Bill Russell, probably or Pele, just of what they did for the, for the game and everything. And I would say Pele or Bill Russell. Who would you say? I got a couple of bullet points I want to put out about people that have died, but who do you think is the biggest death of 2022?
Yeah, sorry, Rich. We're getting our soccer love right now.
Yeah.
Gotta go with Pele. So Pele, he brought soccer to the United States. Pele was the guy who put 80,000 people in Giant Stadium in the 70s. Nobody really cared about soccer in the United States, and nowadays you probably won't get 80,000 for an MLS game, I don't think. But Pele was the Cosmos. The Cosmos were the 70s, and so many of the Europeans, the people that weren't even born, weren't born in America, were able to go to these games in the 70s and watch this happen. You remember watching on TV, Rich, just to get a glimpse of a full Giant stadium.
Yeah.
I know the Jets and Giants used to sell out. Well, the Giants in the 70s, the Jets weren't there yet, but I know the Giants, it was so hard to get a seat in the stadium, and it was so hard to get a seat for the Cosmos as well. So, you know what? There's my soccer love for the year. I know we bashed the World Cup and stuff,
Yeah.
but Pele, rest in peace. I know we joked about him leading the, not scoring a goal in the World Cup this year, too, and, forgive me, Pele, for that, but rest in peace, sir.
Yeah, and like I said, I think those are two of the big ones. But there was also a lot of, there was a couple of, Islander Stanley Cup winners. We got Clark Gillies and Mike Bossy died this year. Hockey fans, Guy Lafleur died this year. John Clayton died this year, if you remember John Clayton. Dan Reeves died on January 1st of this year, last year, on New Year's Day, Dan Reeves. And there's two names here. We could go over it, but these are two young guys that died this year. That I guess their death is I would say tragic, maybe. But let's talk about Remember what's his name? Dwayne Haskins died this year, dude. Remember how he died?
Yeah, he was hit by a car, right?
Yes, and there was the surrounding stuff about his death and stuff like that. He was hit by a car, but he was walking. So he was coming from a party. He was coming from a party, and apparently, I guess he was drunk, and I guess he had some drugs in his system. They say he had ketamine in his system, but I really don't think that all that stuff that they put out about Dwayne Haskins, in my opinion, really mattered because he was hit by a car walking. The guy was coming from a party. He's a young kid. Why you got to disclose all the stuff that was in his system? Unless he had been driving prior in the night, which I don't know. But I just know when he was hit, he was walking, and they disclosed all this information on the thing about how he had ketamine in his system, and he had 0.2 blood alcohol level. I don't think why you got to kind of discredit somebody if they were just walking down the road, coming from a party. You know, he wasn't driving. You know, the guy died. You know what happens. You know what I mean? I don't know. How do you feel about that, Eve? Like the guy was, if the alcohol, I mean, listen, it impaired him. Like, but he's not going to walk into somebody while he's drunk walking. Like, it's all on him. You know what I mean? So, what do you think about that when the media tries to blow something up that and make a big deal about it? Because, you know, Dwayne Haskins, now it's tragic. Yeah, he died, but now they got to let a little information out. He wasn't driving, he was walking.
Rich, I'm gonna take a step back from sports on this.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of this. Like, I see on Facebook all the time, like somebody posts like their father died, or their, you know, oh, how did he die, and so, you know, or mother, you know, it's nobody's business how
Right.
somebody dies. I mean, let's give people their dignity and stuff like that. I mean, to come out with news and stuff, and you know, like what's in their system, or you know, whatever and stuff. I mean, can we just say somebody passed away and
Yes.
And move on with it? But I think that's what America likes. America likes to be, and I'll put it this way, an old Yiddish word called yentas. Now they want to have their information on everything basically and stuff. I see it on this app called Nextdoor. It's on the phone, and I see it all the time. It's like, oh, does anybody know why there was a police car at this house, or why
Right.
an ambulance was there? It's nobody's freaking business why this happens. You know, it's like, and almost like, you know, you kind of like want to live your life in privacy sometimes, but it's definitely not you know, knowledgeable. You know, if I wanted to say why my father died, my father passed away from ALS, Rich, and I put it out there because I want to see a cure to this disease
Right.
and stuff, which is overlooked. I mean, Luke Gehrig died 80 years ago, and there's been no progress in this disease. So I'll say that. But you know what, though? I don't think it's anybody's business, and I'm sure you'll agree, too, on this Dwayne Haskins accident, too, that's nobody's business.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? And it's never, they never put that information out to make somebody, to shed good light on somebody of how they died. It's always just to shed a bad light on somebody, to get somebody, you know, even if the person is a good guy, you know, people just make stuff up about them. It's, again, I don't know how he was personally, Dwayne Haskins. It's tragic that he died. But if the fact that he didn't get behind the wheel and he didn't put anybody else's life in danger, there's no reason to disclose how much alcohol and how many, and, you know, there was ketamine in his system. There's no reason to disclose that. But that's one tragic one. And there's another tragic one here too. Like, I don't know, you know, another coach's son with some problems. Mike Zimmer's kid, Adam Zimmer. He pretty much died. He passed out drunk in his house, and his eyes were all bloodied. And, you know, apparently they're saying the guy, you know, the poor kid who's 38 years old, he died of alcohol poisoning. Like, what are you doing at 38 years old, sitting in your house? You know, what are you just, you know, drinking bottles and bottles of Jameson and beers until you just, you think that's like some way of suicide? Or do you think the guy was just a mess?
It's hard to tell, Rich. You know, sometimes in these families where guys coach, they're not around. Like the dad's not around. We saw Andy Reid's son too had some trouble.
Andy Reid's kids too, yeah.
Along the way and stuff.
That poor guy's got one in jail and one died of a crystal meth overdose or heroin or something. But yeah, that poor guy has, you know, both of his kids, you know. But again, that's just unfortunate because it's not Andy Reid. They're just putting Andy Reid in a light of being. Let me talk about this for 1 second. He's what do you call it? They're putting Andy Reid more in a bad light than anybody. I'm just go to Andy Reid for a second. I know his kids didn't die this year, but he had the one kid, and they made it a point to put it out there that the kid had a big, long history of drug problems, and you know, in and out of rehab, and the problems that he had with his father. And in that instance, to me, there's no way, shape, or form that stuff should be disclosed either, because you know what? That's just trying to paint Andy Reid in the light of being a bad parent. When in actuality, when it comes to that, 95% of the time, listen, of course, there's a lot of bad parents out there to let their kids go do whatever, but 95% of the time, you hear these kids, you know, that have drug problems or something happens, just guys, parents out there, if anybody thinks that they could hide this stuff from their children, or they could tell these kids, or they could tell your children, don't do this, don't do that. The only thing you could do is just keep diligent, check in on them, see if they're okay. You know, there's a lot of people out there that put a stigma on drug addiction and alcohol addiction. And, you know, if you find out that a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid is in drug rehab for doing some sort of drug, you know, there's a lot of people out there, and I know somebody in particular that I fight a lot about this, that says that it's the parents' fault 100%, 24 hours a day, that the kids are a disaster because they weren't looking at them. And I think that's kind of unfair to put a parent in that position, because if something does happen, he does die of an overdose of drugs, you know, the parent's already distraught about losing a child, and now you're going to pile on the top. It's like, you know, calling the parent a bad parent because he allowed the child to do drugs. No parent allows their kids to do drugs. Parents, if you're blind, it's out there. Just all you can do is just check in on your kids. Check in on them, ask them if they're okay. Little, you know, differences, you know, in behavior. Just check in on them, guys. You know, and it's like, you know, it's really, you know, it's got to be really hard to, you know, to lose a child. And like, fortunately, I wouldn't know. Fortunately, Eric, you wouldn't know what that's like. And that's not something that anybody ever should have to go through. And, to paint Andy Reid in the light like that, it's just not fair. So, when people die like that, if they're going to put stuff out, maybe they want to put some stuff out that's going to shed a little light on the subject and not make the subject even worse.
Rich, I want to put something else out there.
Sure.
You see that Ronnie Hillman passed? You see Ronnie Hillman passed away too?
I did.
31 years old. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Week or...
God,
Yeah.
terrible,
Crazy.
terrible. And you look at him, and he died of what did he say? He died of some rare form of cancer, right?
Yeah, and you know what kind of brings me back? Ricky Bell was the Buccaneers' #1 pick in 1977 from USC.
Yeah.
And he had a similar type thing. He died he was 29 years old. He had some kind of rash, and
Wow.
then it affected his heart and stuff like that. It was horrible, a horrible death and stuff. But yeah, this Ronnie Hillman thing kind of took me for kind of like shocked me and stuff because he was so young, these guys too, and the rare form of cancer, only 31 years old, Rich.
I know, man. I know. Like I what do you call it? I didn't know how he passed. I was going through it this morning. I looked at his, I didn't know exactly how he passed. I know it was tragic, but I didn't know how he passed. That's, Marion Barber this year too. He's another guy. He died of heat stroke this year. Running back for the Cowboys.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, definitely lost a lot of.
And what about the Goose? The Goose died this year. The Goose, Tony Saragusa,
Yes.
died in his sleep at 55.
Crazy.
All right, we're gonna get off. Listen, we're gonna get off this. We're gonna get off this rough year of people dying. But I do want to mention one person that did die this year, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these guys do die if they're professional. But all my WWF and WWE fans out there, Razor Ramon Scott Hall died this year of a heart attack. Now that's what do you call it? Listen, the wrestlers are dying left and right. He had a heart attack. I don't know if that means a steroids thing and doesn't, but Razor Ramon, here's a toothpick at you, died this year. So that's my last downer of people that died in the year 2022. I think we're bringing everybody down. He was supposed to be doing positive shit today. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's some positive stuff. I want to talk about yesterday, Rich. I mean, have we ever had this much fun on New Year's Eve with college football ever?
Wow. Now listen. Now, do you want to explain where you were when this game was going on, or would you like me to, because you know me, I could talk forever. Would you like to explain to me where you were, where all this madness was going on, and what you would have done in this situation?
So here's what we got, Rich. I got my turn yesterday at 3 o'clock. I ate early. People are like, what are you, getting the early bird special? You're so old. I mean, I'm 54 years old, but no. Because my ass was on the couch from 8 o'clock till midnight last night. Actually, 11:59 and 8 seconds. So it's pretty funny, 52 seconds. It's pretty funny how this all played out. The ball is coming down, and, Ohio State's lined up for a field goal at the same time. And this happened a couple of weeks ago at the World Cup where Fox was going to pull the plug and go to NFL because the World Cup and the NFL holds precedent over the World Cup, so it's kind of like the same type of scenario. But 179 points scored in these two games yesterday, and a combined 2,016 yards. So these two games, they got over a mile in yardage, basically. It took 8 hours, but they managed to get over a mile. Most fun on New Year's Eve in a long time, I should say. We waited 9 years for a doubleheader where both games came down to the wire. And it's good to have some new blood in the championship. I mean, how many years do we need Alabama, Clemson, basically, But TCU, crazy. I mean, Georgia's looking to repeat, first time in a decade. But TCU is the improbable champion we haven't seen in 2 decades. I mean, they might not beat Georgia. But TCU might. It might be. In 2007, Boise State beat Oklahoma. That was a big upset.
Yeah.
Appalachian State beat Michigan the next year during the season. But nobody picked them. Nobody picked TCU. Their recruiting class is nothing to talk about. But you know what? At the end of the day, Ohio State, Alabama, and LSU will be watching the championship from home because TCU has entered the championship. They were 200 to 1 odds to make the playoffs. They were 5-7 last year, Rich. And now they're playing for a championship. And this is very rare in college football.
Oh, yeah.
In 2013, Auburn went from worst to first in the SEC. But TCU, it's unbelievable what they're doing. Now, they came close in 2010. These were the Andy Dalton years. They won the Rose Bowl. In 2014, they just missed the playoffs, actually, and they fell off the map ever since. But TCU led the game yesterday from start to finish. But the margin went from 19 to 3. It was getting very close. 6 turnovers in the game combined, 5 touchdowns, 20 yards or more plus. several officiating errors that we saw, but TCU was the dominant team and still held off Michigan at the end. TCU rushed for 263 yards, Rich,
right,
against the top 5 defensive team in the country. And TCU is the first Big 12 team to make the championship.
right.
Not Oklahoma, not Texas, TCU.
Yeah, that's you know, and that's, listen, that's good for the sport of college football as well. You know what I think though, like, you know, as you know, you have that pool of 64, you know, with the NCAA, and you know, you have your, you know, they're obviously gonna expand it to 12 teams next year, but I think the disparity between NFL and college as a tournament as a whole, I think it's a lot easier. I wouldn't say a lot easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think it's easier for you to take a team, a small, let's say, NCAA program, to come in and maybe beat a Duke, as opposed to a small, you know, football program like I don't know, Wichita. And they're not small. I'm Marist. I'm just saying, like, they're not even Division I. But I'm talking about, I think it's a lot harder as far as recruiting purposes go for a small D1 school to recruit a guy as opposed to, you know, Alabama, LSU. And Deion Sanders went into that a couple of weeks ago about, you know, about the, you know, about his recruiting process. But I think that as a whole, the recruiting process, you know, it just is what it is because there's so many colleges. But I think it's a lot harder, I think, for a football program to compete at that level as it is for a basketball program, because, you know, basketball, you know, the physicality of football takes over, I think, more in basketball. That's why I think it's a little bit easier in basketball, and you have to really kind of like, TCU played great this year, and I think you really, really have to play great to overcome some of these big schools.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. I mean, like we said, no 5-star recruits on TCU.
No.
Unbelievable, right? And now they're playing for a championship next Monday night. I mean, I can't see the odds. I haven't seen them yet.
Right, Ben? Deion Sanders. I'm sorry, your son's chiming in here. He makes a very good point. It's the Deion Sanders effect, man. Deion Sanders is doing such great things for college football. And I don't know if anybody's mad at him for leaving his school and going to, you know, Colorado. You know, he's bringing his top recruit with him, and he's bringing his son with him. He said a couple of years ago, I'm getting into this game to better the performance and better the chances of my son to play in the NFL. He didn't say I'm going to be there for 10 years. He said he's going to better the program, get exposure, and if a team comes calling, a D1 program that I could turn around, I'm going. And I'm doing it for my son, and I'm doing it for, you know, for the players. He put a lot of exposure down there, you know, to those schools, and a lot of these guys are going to be watching. So the Deion Sanders effect, you're absolutely right, Ben. That's exactly what it is. And I'm telling you, that's going to come into effect for a long time, because Deion Sanders wasn't your run-of-the-mill guy. He's a very boisterous, outspoken guy, and he was I think one of the greatest cornerback ever to put on a pair of cleats, and one of the best and fastest ever to play the game. So people are going to listen to Deion Sanders.
No, not. Like we looked about a couple of weeks ago, we saw that Colorado had some rough times, giving up like 50 points a game and stuff. But I think Deion Sanders is going to bring in some of these.
Give him 2 or 3 years.
Colorado should win to get a bowl game now and stuff. Maybe even challenge for a national championship.
Colorado might be playing. Colorado's going to be playing in that field of 12, I think, you know, very soon. Give him 2 or 3 years maybe to start building that program back up again, and you're going to see Colorado's going to be in that deep, you know, they're going to be in that field of 12, I think, eventually. You're going to see that. It's going to be all Deion Sanders. You know, it's because we were talking yesterday, I was talking to my buddy Joe yesterday about the effect that coaching has. Now, we're going to go into the NFL in a couple of minutes, but I think there's a team in the NFL that is a perfect example of what coaching does to a franchise. Because, Cousin Joe, you got a guy out there in Daboll who pretty much has the same exact football team that he had last year. Giant fans would know a little bit better than me who came and go, but for the most part, it's the same exact team. And Daboll came in there and changed the entire thing. And they're playing for the guy, and I think that's, again, coaching in football, I think out of the 4 major sports, if you have a good coach, a good motivator, it completely turns a franchise around. And I think Deion Sanders' effect is going to be the same thing, kind of like what Daboll did for the Giants in the NFL.
Well, I'm about it. It's crazy how these motivators, and then you have coaches that just go in. Remember when these guys went to, what's his name, went to Jacksonville? I forget the name offhand and stuff.
Urban Meyer.
You know, these yeah, Urban Meyer. So these college coaches come to, and they can't even do it, you know, and stuff. But in college, it's just so fascinating. You think Deion Sanders will go to the NFL one day, Rich?
No. You know what? I don't. I really don't. You know why? Because I think Deion Sanders has money. So he's not going to be going for that big contract. He's not going to say go to the NFL to get a $10 million a year contract. And I'm watching this show too. He's got, Coach Prime. He's got this show on Amazon. I get into certain athletes and then I just get obsessed with them. And I've been obsessing over Deion Sanders over the last couple of weeks. I was obsessing over Tyson for a couple of weeks. Now I'm obsessing over Deion Sanders. I don't think he's going to go to the NFL. Listen, I could be wrong. I don't know the guy, but I think Deion Sanders is a guy who wants to mold young minds and wants to bring the college players. He wants to rally around college players. He probably could coach in the NFL, but I think a guy like him is best suited for the NCAA because he's molding young minds, and they need that right now. They need a coach to go in there and tell these kids that they can do it. And I think I don't think he's going to go to the NFL just for that fact. I think that he's going to stay down in the NCAA because he likes the fact that he's teaching he's teaching these young kids. Not only does he preach football, but on the other hand too, he also preaches family. Be a good guy. He preaches that. And listen, you're an NFL coach. You don't want to tell somebody like Aaron Donald if he beat somebody up at a bar that just to be a good guy. Be like, fuck you, coach. But these college kids, they'll listen to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt about it, Rich. And also, I just saw a blurb on my screen here. Georgia is 13.5-point favorites over TCU next week with an over-under of 61.5. The game is Monday, January 9th from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. And the kickoff is set for 7:30 Eastern time. So I don't know if that's the actual kickoff or they have a 2-hour pregame show, but it looks like 7:30 now. This other game last night, Richard, did you see this other game last night, the Georgia-Ohio State game?
Dude, the Georgia-Ohio State game, well, that's what we were going into before. The ball's about to drop. All the kids are upstairs watching a football game. All the parents are down there waiting for the ball to drop. All the wives and the mothers are like, where are the kids? They got to hug them for New Year's. My son's like yelling. It's like 11:54. He's upstairs with his buddy watching the game. He's like, I'm not coming down till the game's over. This, that, and the other thing. So it pretty much was like the perfect storm. I thought, how do you think that Ohio State kicker must feel? It literally was like 12 midnight and 3 seconds when he missed that ball. And that he's going to remember for the rest of his life. He's not moving on that team is not moving on to the national championship because he missed that field goal. And Georgia really escaped the bullet yesterday because you're talking about the number one defense in college football. 41 points was scored on them. So I don't know if that's going to be a precursor to the national championship, and you're telling me that there's a 13.5-point spread. I may throw $20 down on TCU. I bet you never. Who knows? Maybe TCU is that team that can break the big schools. You know what I mean? But that was a crazy game, man. Crazy game. When they drove down, scored the touchdown, he made that catch. I was like, oh my god. And I want to discuss the play too after this. I want to something I saw last night. But that game was great. It was back and forth.
Ohio State was up 38-24 going to the fourth quarter, Rich. So total meltdown. But you know what though? They lost Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes.
I think that was the big. It was kind of like Alabama losing Williams last year in the championship, losing Marvin Harrison. And this Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh my God!
It's good.
Can you imagine if this guy went to play with the Bears with Justin Fields?
Wow.
Because Fields needs somebody to throw to, and you know what? The Bears are going to have a low pick. I don't know if Harrison's going to come out, whatever, but. Can you imagine if he turns into the receiver like his father was, basically, and he's playing for the Bears, him and Justin Fields for the next 10, 12 years hooking up with each other? That would be an offensive explosive show, if you ask me, right? You don't think that what do you call it's going to try and pick him up when he comes out in Indianapolis? They suck. They're going to get a low pick. That would be funny. I think the Bears have the worst record, though, Rich. I think the Bears might tank it, There's a big game today. Justin Fields had an awesome game against Detroit a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. And for you fantasy people, you got to play Justin Fields today. I think he's going to go crazy on the Lions. We're going to have our picks later. I don't think the Bears are going to win. But, Chicago, I think they have the worst record right now, Rich. I think the Colts have about a game, even the Colts, too, coming to Giants, MetLife today. I mean, that's not a given either. I mean, the Colts can sneak up. That could be one of those trap games for the Giants. Well, like I said, we'll talk about NFL later. But I think Harrison would be a great fit in Chicago. He'd be a great fit everywhere, but you know what? Chicago needs a receiver.
Right.
They have and then they have a world-class offense, I believe.
Now, I got to ask you a question from an observer's point of the game last night. Now, all these hardcore football guys, you might beat me up for this because, as I played football, but not on a high level as a lot of these people that are listening right now but there was a play last night, that ball that CJ Stroud threw into the end zone, right? And it was, and the kid got smashed in the end zone, dropped the ball, and he was smashed. He was laid down, and it was called a penalty. I'm listening. They got a field goal out. Do you know the play I'm talking about, E?
Rich,
Towards the end of the game.
I was watching a little NBA too.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Well, let me explain to you. Let me explain to you the play I'm talking about. Again, I guess I'm probably, maybe I'm a hard judge, on these guys, but they're supposed to, they're tough kids. But the CJ Stroud dropping back, throws up the ball comes down in the end zone. Right at the same time, the ball hits the kid's hands. The defensive back smashes the wide receiver and literally lays him out. Guy drops the ball. After a couple of minutes, they get a field goal out of it. It's called a penalty, and they get a field goal out of it. Now, I guess it was called, I forgot what the penalty was called, but I think if you slow that, if anybody's listening doesn't know what I'm talking about, if you slow that play down and you watch what happens, if that kid doesn't hit him, and I think it was a clean hit. If that kid doesn't hit him at that precise time, that kid catches that ball. That's a touchdown. So it's kind of like I think maybe I think they threw that flag because they thought the kid might have been dead. I mean, to be honest with you, but I honestly thought, in my opinion, it might have been a clean hit. But obviously it didn't matter any because they won the game anyway. But that could have been the difference too, because that would have been a touchdown instead of a field goal. I think if he didn't get hit that hard, it was right in his hands. It touched his hands and he got hit. So I don't know. Take a look at it later, and we'll discuss it another time. But I actually thought that was a clean hit, guys. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but I think it was a clean hit. Targeting, Ben, right? Targeting.
Yeah, you think C.J. Stroud's an NFL
No.
quarterback, Rich?
No. That's another thing I was going to go off on a tangent for. I don't think C.J. Stroud is. I don't think the kid from USC is. I don't think the kid from USC is. Caleb, whatever his name is. I don't think there's anybody. I think there's going to be an NFL quarterback coming out of this draft. There's going to be some kid in the second round or something, or maybe the quarterback for Washington I don't know, dude. I don't think these two kids that they're raving about, I don't think they're going to be NFL ready. I don't. Listen, Justin Fields took a little bit. He's looking like an NFL quarterback. I didn't think Justin Fields was going to be an NFL quarterback. Let's see how it turns out. But I don't know, dude. What I see with those two kids, CJ Stroud and the kid Caleb, I'm talking about that. Maybe I'm picking on them, but I don't see them. Let's say the Jets are saying they're going in next year, and they want a quarterback, which I don't want them to get a quarterback. I'm not putting my future on either one of those kids. Not at all. I'm not putting my future on. They are not going to be number one quarterbacks. They're going to be Tim Couch. I think they're going to be, you name your great college quarterback who never really kind of panned out. And I think that's what they're going to turn into. They're not going to be exceptional quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think so. That's my opinion just from watching. What do you think?
What do you think about Tua, Rich? I mean, we'll talk about, like I said, we're all over the place, but it just came to my mind, like Tua.
Yeah.
He was an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate for that kid, man. He's a nice kid, and unfortunately, because of I don't know. Do you blame the Dolphins? I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, because of the organization, they kept throwing him out there, and he's a good quarterback, but his career is going to be a lot shorter than it should have because of all his concussions.
Now, you'll agree with me on Joe Burrow, though, Rich. I think Joe Burrow was one of the best quarterbacks that we've seen in many years. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I really, if you have your quarterbacks, you have your top tier quarterbacks, and then everybody talks about your second tier quarterbacks, but I don't see why. We always talk about that offensive line that Cincinnati has. I mean, the offensive line progressively as the year progressed. I mean, the offensive line got a lot better. So that being said, Joe Burrow's, you're dealing with the offensive line in the beginning of the season. They lost a couple of games, but then they came back and they won big football games coming down here. I don't think right now there's a quarterback playing at a bigger high level than Joe Burrow. And I'm not saying that other quarterbacks aren't playing at a high level. If you look at Pat Mahomes, if you look at Josh Allen, those guys are playing ridiculous as well. But Joe Burrow right now is playing at such a high level. I think he's pissed about what happened last year. He's mad. And I think he's taking that anger, which athletes use, and putting it towards his game because he's playing with a guy like he's got a chip on his shoulder this year, which is the way a lot of football players should play. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and you got to look out. If you're a team, they're going to probably get a bye, maybe not, but if they don't get a bye, you do not want to play the Bengals in the first, second, third, or the Super Bowl because they're going to be a team to watch in the playoffs, big time. And that game tomorrow night has huge implications, and I think that tomorrow night's game is probably going to be a game where one of those teams, I have a feeling, is going to go out there and just really just beat the shit out of the other one. And I think that's going to be a, I use the word statement game all the time. I shouldn't say it, but for both of those teams, Bills and Bengals, they have to get out from the shadow of Pat Mahomes. And I think that game tomorrow night, one of those guys is going to come out and say, I'm tired of being in the shadow of the Chiefs. I'm coming out there and I'm kicking the other team's ass. And those are that's going to be a good game tomorrow night to watch, E.
Definitely, and also we got more college football tomorrow. So
yep.
You used to have the bowl games on New Year's Day. Used to mean a lot, Rich, before the playoffs and stuff. Now you have your first round of playoffs, and you have more games tomorrow. What do you think about games tomorrow, Rich?
Games tomorrow. Games. You know what? The games tomorrow are fine. You know what? The games tomorrow are they should have been today because I can remember. I don't know about you. I can remember New Year's Eve. You go out. You have a great time. With the A, you get home, really late, or you're hungover, or you get home while the games are started. But I just remember just kicking back New Year's Day and just watching all the bowl games. Now, when they all mattered more, the same pretty much. I mean, you could say the Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl had more glamour and glitz. But, in that day and age, it's like if you're playing in the Sugar Bowl or if you're playing in the, the All-American Bowl, it's like, you're still playing in a bowl and that's good for your team. But I think now with this incorporation of these teams, the 4 teams now going to 12, these games don't mean as much, because it's the 2 games, it's the 4 games that'd be playing for the championship right now are the ones that matter. It's like, but they're fun to watch, but they're really not playing for anything, right? When at the end of the day, right or wrong?
You're right, Rich, but it gives us something to watch. I mean, most people are off tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. It's the actual celebration of New Year's Day when it falls on a Sunday is the Monday. But there are a couple of good games tomorrow that lead up to the Buffalo-Cincinnati game tomorrow night. The USC-Tulane game. Now, this is the Cotton Bowl tomorrow. It's on at 1 o'clock here on the East Coast. It's on ESPN. And you know what? This is the first time Tulane's been ranked since 1998.
Wow.
And it's their first New Year's Day game. I know it's January 2nd, but it's kind of like a New Year's Day game since 1939.
Wow.
Crazy, right? So
yeah.
They're looking for they're playing USC tomorrow, and USC has this Caleb Williams guy, but it's only a 2-point spread, so this is gonna be a pretty good game, Rich. It might be one of these high-scoring games, and then the Rose Bowl always used to be called the granddaddy of the bowl games,
right.
And tomorrow it's Utah against Penn State. There's a lot of Penn State fans here on the East Coast. That starts at 5 o'clock. On ESPN, and that's going to be a good game as well. That's another close game in the spread, and it should be a great game. Another classic. We've seen some in the Rose Bowl before. So there are some good things to watch tomorrow. I know the games don't mean much, but definitely, different than when we were kids, Rich, with the bowl games on New Year's Day.
Yes, yeah, with me, like listen, we're both huge sports fans, and I know, I have a little bit of a variety of stuff that I like to watch than you. Listen, I'm going to call you a bigger sports fan than me, but you do enjoy watching. You enjoy watching for a longer period. Like tomorrow, if those 2 games are the only thing on sports-wise, listen, I got 3 more episodes of Better Call Saul to watch, episode 5. So I'm probably going to catch up on Better Call Saul, then watch the Penn State whatever game as far as being a bowl game. But if it was a national championship, that would be a different animal. But if it's just random, college football games on tomorrow, I'm catching up on Better Call Saul.
You gonna watch Friends tomorrow, Rich?
Nah, no Friends tomorrow. No Friends tomorrow. Better Call Saul is a great show. Do you know that show, Better Call Saul? Yeah, kind of an offshoot of Breaking Bad. I know you're a television, TV guide isn't too big there, E. But great show. So yeah, that's how I feel about games tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a game in Fenway Park too, NHL game tomorrow. They're playing in Boston and stuff. So that's some hockey people might like that. I mean,
how come they don't play it on New Year's Day anymore? Wasn't that game on New Year's Day all the time?
It is, but you know what though? The NFL overshadows everything today. Basically.
Right.
I
Forgot.
why
Yes.
things are moved to
Yes.
That's why things are moved to the second.
They moved the Daytona 500 because it interfered with the Super Bowl.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense either, So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it should be a good game of good day to watch some sports tomorrow and stuff. But yeah, like I said, bowl games tomorrow, hockey tomorrow, maybe some NBA tomorrow. The Knicks play the Suns tomorrow at 3:00. But yeah, definitely a day to watch TV tomorrow, not work. So I'll be back to work on Tuesday.
All right, good. So are you working at all, or are you just like completely off tomorrow? You just
I'll have to sign on the computer in the morning and stuff. I'll just give it a couple of maybe an hour or two, and got a busy week ahead of me. So just to prepare myself for a storm on Tuesday. But I'm not looking forward to that now, Rich. I'm looking forward to some NFL games.
Yes.
That kick off in an hour. We had some big ones today.
yes,
right?
sir. Let's do it, brother. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about when it comes to the NFL today, guys. We got some good games going today, right? This is gonna be fun.
Including my Buccaneers today playing for their playoff lives. I mean, they lost to Carolina already this year, so if Carolina beats them again, Carolina doesn't clinch a playoff spot, but it kind of like actually Carolina will clinch it. No, only Tampa Bay can win today. If they win, they get a playoff spot. So even if Carolina wins, I think they still have to play the Saints next week, and the Saints have to beat the Eagles today. And there's a whole bunch of scenarios and stuff like that. But
that division's all knotted up. It's seven. That's what that division's all knotted up. You got the Bucks in first at 7-8, 6-9 and 6-9 with the Saints, and Falcons at 5-10. The longer the season progresses, they're pretty much out. But yeah, you're right. The Panthers. There's 2 games left. Saints, the Panthers, and the Bucks. It's going to be between the Saints and the Panthers. I don't know. We'll talk about what we think of the outcome, but wouldn't it be crazy to have the Panthers make the playoffs, dude?
After all they've been through this year, Rich, losing their running back, trading their running back, trading their wide receiver, firing their coach. Wow, what a story that! And making the playoffs with Sam Darnold. Do you believe that?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, again, we're not looking back. Like I said, we're not looking back because Sam Darnold, I don't think he's a good quarterback. He's a product of a system. But whatever. All right, so what do you call it? Where do you want to start today? Like I said, you want to discuss the Bucks game first?
Yeah, I want to give the playoff scenario, Rich. There's a lot of playoff things
Yeah, man.
on the line today for the playoffs. I know cousin Joe, your Giants, if they win, they're in, I believe. That's a good one. It's a big day for football, Rich. There's some games that mean absolutely nothing. But what do you think about this 17-game schedule, Rich? Do you think if it was 16 games, there'd be a lot more on the line today to watch than 17? What do you think about that?
I don't think so. It's just a less amount of games. I think that the teams would have just started kicking back a week earlier. I don't know. Maybe they're kicking back. I don't really know. Listen, it's really easy for a person that sits on their couch and watches football every Sunday to say that these guys should be playing more games or they should be playing. Listen, that's a sport where basically these guys, you strap them into a chair like we're watching. It's like getting hit with a baseball bat for like 3 hours. So I guess if we want to say that they could play more games or less games, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I think just the scenario just would have followed suit as opposed to the amount of games. I really don't think it would have made a difference today. Today would have been last week.
Exactly. I just want to give the playoff scenarios, Rich, and then we'll hop into the games. Actually,
Yep.
So you got the Buffalo Bills. They're 12-3. They play the Bengals tomorrow night. Buffalo clinches home field advantage and the AFC's lone first round bye with a win and a Kansas City loss today. Yep. And then you got the Bengals, their opposition tomorrow. Cincinnati clinches the AFC North with a win and a Baltimore loss today to Pittsburgh, or tie, or a Cincinnati tie and a Baltimore loss. And then you got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins get into the playoffs today with a win and a Jets loss, or a Miami tie, a Jets loss, and a Pittsburgh loss or tie.
Wow.
So there's so much confusion with these playoffs still. Yeah. And then you got the New York Football Giants. The Giants get in with a win. All they got to do is win today, and they're in, Rich. If they lose, they make things complicated. The Eagles clinch the NFC East today with a tie. I know they lost to the Cowboys twice, so the Cowboys are still alive in that division. Like we said, Tampa Bay wins, and they're in today. If they lose, Carolina, New Orleans, and Tampa still have a chance next week, so I don't think Tampa can be eliminated. And also, Washington clinches the playoff berth with a win, a Seattle loss, a Detroit loss, a Green Bay loss or tie. So
well, if you look at that, what's pretty telling about that is you just mentioned the Commanders. Now the Commanders have to get in, right? They're playing a Cleveland Browns team with a quarterback that really wants really wants to make come back and make be the guy that he was. So I don't think the Browns aren't going to go too lightly into the night, man. I think the Commanders I think have the roughest road as far as all these guys that have to win. The Giants are playing the Colts. It's like I really Cowboys played the Tennessee Titans, so I think I don't know, they're a horrible football team. But anyway, we'll get to that again. But I think that the hardest road I think is going to be the Commanders because they're playing against the Cleveland Brown teams with a quarterback that really wants to make a statement for next year.
The only salvation is that their run defense stinks, Cleveland. So Washington might be able to run on them. That kid, Robertson, that got shot in the beginning of the season. So Cousin Joe, the Giants will win today, or there'll be riots. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Is that what, Cousin Joe? Is that what Giant fans do? Giant fans riot? I thought Giant fans were like the more buttoned up crew. Jet fans are the ones that riot. Oh, here he is. Hold on a second. Hold on, E. Got a call in. Cousin Joe, you couldn't contain yourself, huh?
Cousin Joe.
I'll be brief, but now this is one of these games. This comes up every 10 years or so for Giants fans, and they lose today. There will be angry letters sent to Mara and Tish at the minimum. But it's exciting day for Giants fans. This is we talked about it last week. How often you see this, especially recent years, win an in game, playing a team that we should beat. By all standards, all metrics out there. I get it. Any given Sunday, anybody can win. But coming in today, they should. If they take care of business, they've been doing like they've been doing all season. It'll be a fun 4:30 for Giants fans.
Now, Cousin Joe, I got a question for you. I don't know if I might have asked you this the other day, and I might not have, but I'm in a little bit of a conundrum today with my fantasy football team. Okay, I'm playing in the Super Bowl today. I'm playing in the Super Bowl today against 15-year-old Ben Gerasi. All right, the kid slowly snuck in behind me. 5 and 6 seed playing for the Super Bowl. But I'm in a little bit of a conundrum today, Cousin Joe. I picked up the Giants defense, which I have full confidence that they're going to do something. I have Tom Brady and I have Daniel Jones as my starting quarterbacks. If you were me, would you start Daniel Jones today in the Super Bowl over Tom Brady?
I would, just for the fact that here's the thing, Tom Brady. I mean, he's been hot and cold the last few weeks, but they're playing Carolina. It's a divisional game. You don't know what you're getting with these divisional games, especially when you have playoffs on the line.
I agree.
Danny Jones, for what's worth the Colts, they're obviously non-conference, non-division, a little bit different scenario. Also, too, just for the fact that Jones could run, and I can definitely see him running one in today. So, that said, I'm biased, and actually, I do have Tom Brady on my team as well. I'm benching him today in favor of Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
But I shouldn't talk because the Vikings are playing Green Bay, but I've watched both play all year, and Cousins just puts up like video game numbers, so that's why I'm going with him. And I'm not in the Super Bowl. I'm playing in the consolation bracket, so go me, I guess. But
Go me.
If I had to put them together, I'd go with Jones over Brady, just for the fact that he can run. There's a very good chance he's going to run one in today. That wouldn't shock me at all.
Right.
And Tampa's playing Carolina divisional game, and
All right, cool, man. Yeah, you know what though? E told me to go with Tom Brady. Cousin Joe told me to go with Daniel Jones. I don't know. Cousin Joe made a better. Cousin Joe made a better thing for Daniel Jones. I think I'm going with DJ today, man. Daniel Jones.
Well, let's put it this way. Are you shocked that you're asking fans of each guy's team who you want to play? So it's a loaded question. You want to talk about the media. You talked before about the media hyping stories up and putting character assassination play. Guy gets called a touchdown and gets put back at the half-yard line. He fumbles in the end zone. Well, if you had the points, at least you would be able to mitigate that, That just kind of sent him to a death spiral. And, I mean, shit, with even everything that happened, they still almost came back. And, I hate to say it, they deserve to lose, okay? Especially the first half, their defense was sleep at the switch. And it doesn't help, too, when, offense goes out there where they should have points on 2 back-to-back drives. You didn't get them. So, not that I'm a Michigan fan either. I'm a big football fan. But, I was screaming at the TV. Dude, just take the damn points. It's a playoff game. Set the pace early. Get your guys to the bench. Let them recharge, redirect. Because that's a huge crushing blow for not only your offense, but their defense is amped up too because they stopped you on 4th and goal. So.
Yeah. So one more question for your Cousin Joe.
Sure.
Tomorrow, the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. You gonna be watching those games tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we were going to talk about gambling before, whatnot. I look when Mike Leach died. We're talking about people who died this year too. It's another one. Mike
Got to
Leach.
mention Mike Leach, yeah.
Yes.
Very terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loaded up. I put a 50 spot on Mississippi State because that's kind of like the Rudy thing, or anytime we win for the Gipper type of thing, man, where your coach died, and it's kind of how the sports books react to stuff. Like when prior to him passing away, they had Mississippi had like plus 105, plus 110 or something like that. It's down to minus 140 now. So,
Wow.
yeah, a lot of money going for Mississippi State right now to pull that game off. But no, the bowl games absolutely. And Rich, everything you said, 100%. You always wake up, roll out of bed.
Yeah.
Maybe put some sweats on. You're just watching bowl games all day, and it tells you the power of the NFL, right? King NFL. Everything got moved from Sun today, right?
Yeah, that's the juggernaut. That's the juggernaut. That is the NFL. Before we move on to the games, Joe and Eric, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts already has a text message, an email, and a phone call ready to hit the button on the last day. How long do you think it takes before they fire Jeff Saturday after the season's over?
I think he might be back.
Really? I don't know, man. After that game 2 weeks ago?
You know
But
what?
it's Irsay. It's Irsay you're talking about.
Irsay. Yeah, it's Irsay. That franchise is so dysfunctional, and it's almost like a Dan Snyder situation. You feel bad for the players, and the coaches, and the staff, and everyone associated with that organization. And you know it's not going to change if the guy dies or they sell the team. I think he's gone just for the fact. I mean, they brought him in a tough situation as it is, and they basically brought him as a stopgap measure because I guess from all the rumblings were that it was pretty divisive. It was a pretty bad situation, and Saturday was the one guy they could bring in there that basically everybody could rally behind. They can get on board with, but that honeymoon's over. The luster's worn off, and it's very tough sell for not only the players but also the coaching staff as well. That okay, you brought a guy that never coached before in the professional level, and he coached he was a high school and a commentator. Now he's going to be your head coach, and unless you came in and started winning games like left and right, it's a very tough sell. So I think next year, I think you'll see him back in the booth next year. But what the hell do I know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so Joe, what do you think? What do you think a lost season preparation would do in that scenario? I mean, he didn't have that to work with this year. He was like kind of forced into it. I mean, they won 1-5 under his tutelage, but kind of full off season. Give the guy a chance, maybe. No.
We'll see. I mean, here's the thing. It's the Indianapolis Colts. It's Irsay. They had Andrew Luck, literally one of the premier quarterbacks of his generation. They ran the kid in the ground. He retired by his 30, and they never got the kid to the Super Bowl, which is kind of like depressing.
Joe, the Indianapolis Colts organization should be arrested for assault on that poor kid.
Yeah. So I don't know. You can give the guy full off season. You can give him 2 full off seasons. I don't know if you can get any different results.
Yeah.
The only saving great.
Sean Payton. Yeah, he's building a super staff.
Nah, Sean Payton's going to Dallas. I'm fully convinced. I was just talking to somebody. I say Sean Payton's going to be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. I understand Mike McCarthy's doing what he's doing, but he's also making some mistakes. That Dallas team is a well-oiled machine, and you just see them kind of like they're not overwhelming everybody all the time. They're losing games here and there, but I think McCarthy's going to be on the edge maybe next year or two. I don't know this, but I think Sean Payton's going to be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, Rich, were you at Jerry Jones's New Year's Eve party? You heard that at Jerry Jones's house last night?
Oh yeah. He just dropped me off on his private jet. Just landed in my backyard. Absolutely. So mark my words. Jerry Jones told me this last night at a party while we were drinking a bottle of Jameson together.
That's funny.
Hey guys, real quick. I'm going to sign off in like 30 seconds here, but congratulations on episode 26. Number 26, Saquon Barkley, going to have a great day today. I think this is his type of game.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it all day, and I just want to give a shout out to you, Rich. Great job with that wrestling podcast there.
Thank you, Joe.
I wrestled in high school. I actually started wrestling in 8th grade. My motivation for wrestling was to get in shape for football, because that's what a lot of guys were doing. Mm-hmm. And I actually got pretty good at it. I wrestled all through high school. I made 06 my senior year. But I would say right now, if you think you're in shape, go to a wrestling match, wrestle a full 6 minutes, 9 minutes for college, 6 minutes high school, or go to a tournament for a whole day. If you think you're in shape, you can get through that. Then you're definitely in shape.
Yeah, Joe, stay tuned, man, because I'm gonna definitely be doing a lot more with the wrestling community.
Yeah, but the wrestling, it stands out in my mind. It's one of these sports where, it's an individual sport. Once you got in the mat, it's you, the other guy, and the ref. That's it.
Right.
But you do have team responsibilities as well, especially if you're in a dual meet or a team tournament or something like that. But any young people listening, you think you're in shape, go wrestle. Even if you want just to work out, you don't even want to compete on the team. Just go for one workout for a few of them.
All right.
That's all I say about that.
All right, Joe.
Guys, congratulations on 26.
Thank you, Joe.
Looking forward to everything going on today, and go get them. Go Jets. Go Giants. And
all right.
Yeah.
All right, cousin Joe. Have fun. Have fun watching the football games today. And I just want to thank. I want to thank you for being a staple from the beginning too, Joe. There's a couple people that have been a staple that have been listening to us. I want to thank you for being a staple for our show, Joe. Thanks for spreading the word about it. You're a great guest, dude. Everybody loves you.
What do you got?
Cousin Joe goes, before Cousin Joe goes, and what do you say all three of us go out for a burger one day or something?
Yes.
Now that the New Year's here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. How about tomorrow? No?
Tomorrow might be a good day. How about you, Cousin Joe?
I'll text you guys later.
It will depend on the outcome of this game.
I'll tell you know what? Let's get we'll get into our little group chat later while we're watching the games. Maybe we'll go pick up a burger, the three of us tomorrow. Maybe this week sometime when stuff's a little too slow. But yeah, we'll contact you later, Joe. Maybe we'll get together this week for a burger, me, you, and EDUBBS. All right, bro?
Absolutely, guys. Happy 26th. Have a great day.
All right, Joe. Later, brother.
Take care, Cousin Joe.
Later.
It's a good idea, eh? That's a very good idea. Yeah, you guys got to. You know what it is? You got to meet Cousin Joe. Cousin Joe's. Cousin Joe's. He's a great dude. So yeah, maybe we'll get a burger this week.
The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, thank you, Cousin Joe. Always insightful on our show, Rich. Much appreciated and stuff.
Yes.
The callers make the show, Rich. We love when people call in and stuff and talk sports with us.
And I have somebody that's a really good friend of mine that kind of listens in the background, and it's been driving him crazy. And Amish Outlaw, I don't know if you're out there, but Amish Outlaw, I think somebody figured out who you are. I'm not going to say it, but I got a phone call from somebody that said, I know who the Amish Outlaw is. So, I don't know, your cover might be blown. I'm not going to blow your cover, but I had a listener that's a very good friend of mine that called me yesterday and said, I think I know who the Amish Outlaw is. So, you might be exposed, Amish Outlaw. I don't know. And again, Amish Outlaw, you are another one that has been there from the beginning. Amish Outlaw, you're a big supporter of us. So, I really do appreciate that as well.
Don't forget Ben as well, Rich. Ben is a big supporter, too, of the show.
Listen, Ben's not even really a supporter anymore. Ben's part of the show, dude. That's why I didn't mention Ben. I don't mention Ben as a supporter of the show. Ben's our behind-the-scenes guy. Ben's the guy that did our logo. Ben's the guy that gives us a little tidbits of information here and there when we're talking on air. Ben's a part of the show. Ben's like a part of the show, dude. Like, he's not a contributor. He's a part of the show. Right, Ben? You tell your dad. Remember me? Listen, he was getting into you a little bit. He wasn't stopping me from breaking your balls the other day. I'll tell you that much,
All good, all fun and games.
But like I said, honestly, like you said, no, Ben is a part of the show. He does a lot behind the scenes for us that we can't get to. So no, Ben is absolutely another part of the show, and that's his recognition. Thank you, Ben. You've been doing a lot for us, dude. One day we're gonna take you with us, dude.
Definitely. So let's get started on these NFL games, Rich, because I have to get out in a bit to get my fantasy team all ready to go for the Super Bowl. I'm sure you got to set your lineup as well, but let's start with a game that means nothing here. You got the Atlanta Falcons are just 3.5-point favorite over the Arizona Cardinals. So these two teams are limping down the stretch. Atlanta's averaged 14 points a game in a 4-game losing streak. They have Desmond Ridder as their quarterback, having some growing pains. Arizona averages 15.6 points in their 5-game losing skid. An ugly game, but I am picking the Cardinals in this one. Cardinals plus 3.5.
Cardinals plus 3.5. The Cardinals are a mess. Kyler Murray done. Kyler Murray hates his entire football team. He hates the organization. It's me over there. You got big Zach Ertz over there going, what the hell? Why did I leave I was very comfortable where I was. I thought Kyler Murray was going to be my quarterback. He's another kid who's going to have a contract somewhere. Cardinals going to lose today. The Falcons they don't have anything to play for, but they have a little pride to play for. And I think they have more pride to play for than the Cardinals. So this is going to be game one on pride. And I think the Cardinals I think Kyler Murray, even before he got hurt, I think completely lost that locker room. So I think you're going to see a new quarterback, soon with the Cardinals, and the Falcons win today. So I got the Falcons, dude.
Falcons play the Buccaneers next week, so that might be an interesting game as well.
Yes.
Our next game, the Detroit Lions hosting the Bears. The Lions are 5.5-point favorites. The Lions allowed 320 yards rushing last week to Carolina, their worst showing since allowing 258 yards to the Bears in Week 10. Detroit still has playoff hopes, although they're diminishing, and we're counting on the Lions bounce back today to end. Bears are on a 9-game losing streak, so they're trying to spoil the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win this game by a touchdown, Rich.
Okay.
I got the Lions in this game.
The Lions are going to win by a touchdown. I have, was it plus 5.5? I have down here plus 5.5 is going to. Justin Fields is going to have a day today. Justin Fields is going to have a huge day against that shit Lions defense. I think that, like I said, they're not really playing for a playoff. And listen, Eric, keep this in mind, okay, too. That's a division with a lot of history. That's a division with a lot of hate towards each other, okay? You got the Bears in Detroit. How much would you think the Bears would love? Not that Detroit's going to make it, but they have a chance. How much do you think that they would love to say, I just put the stamp on your resignation from the playoffs this year in Detroit? So I think Justin Fields goes out there with that in mind, and also with that in mind to let his fans and his team know that I am the guy that's going to be here for years to come, and we are going to eventually make the playoffs. Just keep giving me stuff to work with. So I think the Chicago Bears go out there today, and unlike a lot of teams that kick back if they're not going to make the playoffs, or if they're making the playoffs and they sit some of their players, I think that the Chicago Bears have to go out there in a divisional game and try to make a mockery out of the Detroit Lions. So I think that Justin Fields is going to take this game over. He might run for 150 yards on that Lions defense. Bears.
Good, so definitely. I can see that happening too. And like I said, I have him in my fantasy Super Bowl. So go Justin Fields. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Another team that's looking at the playoffs, Rich, Jacksonville Jaguars are at Houston today. The Jaguars are 4.5-point favorites. They lost to the Texans 13-6 in their first meeting in Week 5. Trevor Lawrence is playing well. He's got 11 touchdowns and just 1 interception in his last 5 games. Will the Jacksonville Jaguars make the playoffs, Rich? It will be decided next week. This week doesn't mean much, and the Jaguars were going to rest a couple of players, but apparently it came out today that they're going to play full. So what do you think about this one, Rich? I'll let you have the first shot at this. Jacksonville's 4.5-point favorites at Houston.
This is another game that I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Houston all the last couple of weeks. Houston, their record, they're a shit team, but they've been putting up points, they've been putting up numbers. The running back's been playing well, and listen, this is another game just like the Chicago Bears. It's a divisional game, dude. I mean, Houston wants to spoil Jacksonville, right? I mean, that's what they do. So I'm taking what's the spread on this? I'm taking Houston anyway, but what's the spread on this?
It's 4.5.
Plus 4.5. I'm taking Houston Texans. It might be a close game, maybe with a field goal at the end, but I'm telling you right now, Houston's going to really try, like the Bears, to play spoiler today.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jaguars in this, Rich.
That's great. I love it.
Jaguars, they're hungry. They're hungry. They haven't made the playoffs, and how Trevor Lawrence has matured over the past couple of seasons, 2 seasons, whatever. It's been amazing. He's had a great year, and he just might be a fantasy football first quarterback drafted next year. Trevor Lawrence keeps this up. He's got so many mouths to feed on that team. They got a great offense. I think the Jaguars win this game going away, and I think the Jaguars will have a step in the playoffs going against the Titans next week in kind of like a playoff game, basically. But taking the Jaguars in that game. We're moving along, Rich. Next game is the Denver Broncos, who fired their coach this week, who was a travesty, going to Kansas City. The Chiefs are 13.5-point favorites. The Broncos have bottomed out. Pat Mahomes is 10-0 against Denver. The spread's a little high, but I'll let you pick this one first, Rich. 13.5 point.
That 13.5 spread to me is weird. You know, it's weird because I was about to tell you that the Chiefs might win by 2 touchdowns. I think the Broncos might keep it close. Just if you look through history, like, during the season, if you fire a coach middle of the season, it's obviously he's not getting along with the players. He's obviously not getting along with somebody or whatever it may be. But you fire a coach before the end of the season. I think the last 2 weeks, I mean, could you imagine if it was the coach and then Russell Wilson is just being a baby? You know what I mean? So Usually after like you fire a coach like that, I think you come into a game and like you want to make that statement game. Say, look, we don't need that guy. That guy sucked. He killed us all season. We're gonna move on with another coach next year. But I'm thinking maybe that might be a statement game for them. But the Chiefs also have to make a statement too. So that 13.5-point spread, I'm gonna try and read your mind here because I could go either way with the points because I'm trying to pick up some ground on you. But I have to say that that Pat Mahomes wants that MVP over Jalen Hurts this year, and Pat Mahomes wants to go in there and put up some points. And not for nothing, they want to be that. They want a home field advantage, and they want home games. So even though it's 13.5 points, and I'm going against my logic as far as like the firing the coach thing, it's a different team. Pat Mahomes is going to come in today and run all over the place. So I think that the Chiefs are going to overcome that 13.5-point spread. Chiefs.
Rich, I'm thinking the Chiefs too. I mean, Denver's a travesty, but you know what? Pat Mahomes has never played a road playoff game. The only road playoff games, of course, were in the Super Bowl, basically, and the one in Tampa was actually kind of considered a road game because Tampa was the home team in that one. But I think Mahomes is hungry. The Chiefs are like they're just an offensive juggernaut. They just do it week in, week out. They killed Denver a couple of weeks ago, although Denver did score some points on them and came back and stuff. But taking the Chiefs in this one. Here's another game with playoff potential on the line. The Patriots are a 2.5-point favorite over the Dolphins. The winner controls their own destiny in the wild card race. The Dolphins are 3-5 on the road. And don't give me this cold weather crap because look what the Dolphins did in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago. So the Dolphins come back up north, take on the Patriots, and the Patriots, I should say, are 2.5-point favorites. And I'm going to pick this one, Rich. I'm going to go with the Patriots minus 2.5 on this.
All right, I'm taking the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins. The simple fact is I have to root for the Dolphins today. I need the Patriots at least one loss over the next 2 weeks. And then that's going to set up for a Jet win today and a Dolphin win. And next week, just like I predicted a couple weeks ago, in Miami next week, it's going to be win and go in or win and go home. So I am picking the Miami Dolphins today to help out the Jets a little bit by beating the Patriots and making them null and void for the playoffs and making next week's matchup in Miami one of the biggest games of the year. So I'm taking the Dolphins today.
To the Meadowlands, where the Giants are 6.5-point favorites over the Indianapolis Colts. The Giants in the playoff hunt, when they're in, basically. They beat the other three AFC South teams. Saquon Barkley's averaging 5.3 yards per carry in the past 2 weeks. Been a monster off of last year's questionable season. The Giants will clinch a playoff spot today for Brian Dable. I think the Giants minus 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, you always have in the back of your mind that that's it could be a trap game. It could be one of those games, but there's no trapping anybody in this. The Indianapolis Colts just all the wind was just sucked out of their tails. I mean, their quarterback situation sucks. Supposedly one of the best players in football, kind of like, I don't know what was going on with him. He was hurt. He's not hurt. I don't know what goes on with that organization, man. If you think about that organization and quarterbacks, it's like they drafted Peyton Manning and they drafted, what's his name? Andrew Luck, That is ever since they left Baltimore, I guess that's a franchise that can't get out of their own way, and I think they're just gonna even try to make Jeff Saturday's performance look even worse. So I'm going Giants today, man. And if anybody out there thinks that me being a Jet fan, I'm gonna sour on the Giants, let's go Big Blue, bro. I'm telling you right now, I want the Jets to win, and I feel the same way I do about baseball. Let's go Yankees. Let's go Big Blue, because you know what though? Watching my Jets, the only reason why I'm going to go into in a second why I'm excited today than I was last week is because of the quarterback situation. But you know what though? For New York, let's go Big Blue. Let's get these guys into the playoffs, because a team like this can make some, in the past, a team like the Giants make some noise in the playoffs. But you know what though? For all my Giant fans out there, I think that I'm a Giant hater. Let's go today Big Blue. Let's make the goddamn playoffs. And let's make a statement. Jets and Giants both in the playoffs. Let's go, baby. I'm taking the Giants.
Turnpike from MetLife Stadium. The Eagles hosting the New Orleans Saints. The Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. Jalen Hurts, last I saw, is not playing today. It will be the Gardner Minshew show again against Andy Dalton, who's taken 5 sacks in the past 4 games. So the Eagles defense must pressure him. So why don't you take a shot at this one, Rich? The Eagles 6.5-point favorites over the Saints.
Saints keep it close today. They lose by a field goal. Saints are going to come into play today. I don't know the whole. Listen, they're in the whole Jalen Hurts thing. It's like, I don't know. Minshew could throw a couple of interceptions, maybe. But I gotta think that the Saints might. Is it in New Orleans? It's in Philly. It's in Philly. Fuck, damn it. I need this win over you, dude. Philly. I'm. You know what? No, I'm going Saints. I'm taking the Saints today to keep it close, not to win the game, but to keep it real close.
Hey, Rich, I'm taking the Eagles. I think the Eagles have the AFC. They want the NFC East so bad. I think they win today, so it should be a pretty good game for the Eagles today. And I take them 6.5 point. I'll take the Eagles by a touchdown in this game. Okay, here we go, Rich. The biggie of the day for me. The Buccaneers hosting the Carolina Panthers. The Buccaneers are 3.5 point favorites. I'm sure you know where I'm going here. They still got the 1-game lead in the South. They're clinging to that lead, basically. The Panthers beat the Bucs 21-3 in Week 7, but there was a controversial call. Mike Evans dropped the pass. Seems like that Brady-Evans combination has not been good this year. The Panthers rushed for 173 yards against the Bucs, and last week they rushed for 320 yards against the Lions. Let's see if Brady can buck the trend. We all know Brady in these games kind of gets the calls from the referees, Rich, and stuff. I'm taking the Buccaneers minus 3.5, and the Buccaneers will make the playoffs yet again 3 times in a row for Tom Brady.
The way I'm going with this is I think that half a point in that game is going to be huge because of the games that Tampa Bay's been playing the last couple of weeks, bro. They've been 9-6 going into like the third. I mean, they're just really, I don't know. I just don't see, an offensive performance. I don't know if they're going to win. I'm taking the Panthers. I think they might win the game today. But that half a point I think is going to be huge in the spread part. But either or, I'm taking the Panthers with the points. But I also do think that this game could go either way. And listen, I have no horse in the race here. I would love to see you happy about your Buccaneers. And the Panthers, they're a great story. Losing McCaffrey and stuff. But I'm taking the Panthers today with the points.
And another team besides Tampa Bay that can't afford to lose are the Washington Commanders, who are 2.5 point favorites today, hosting the Cleveland Browns. The Commanders have allowed an average of 145.5 yards the past week. Browns have been inconsistent, but they've averaged just 15 points since we thought Deshaun Watson would come in and lead them to the promised land. Actually, this game's gonna be closer than we think, Rich. I think I'm taking the Browns in this game plus 2.5. I think the Browns might win this game by a field goal. I think Washington's might fall down and stuff. What do you think about this game?
I know what I said earlier about Deshaun Watson and stuff, and I think that Cleveland's still a team that's like kind of like trying to build towards their expensive quarterback that they got there. You got Nick Chubb there. Chase Young's playing, so maybe he can handle Nick Chubb. I'm going with the Commanders today because the Commanders are a team that have been coming on towards the end here, and I think they're another team they got to follow. They have to keep up. And Browns are playing for Deshaun Watson is playing for pride, and the Commanders are playing for possibly a playoff berth. I'm taking the Commanders.
Hey, another game here. An old battle of Bay Area teams. Although the Raiders have moved to Las Vegas since. Would you believe, Rich, the Raiders are still alive in the playoffs?
I can't believe that. I can't believe it.
And they benched their quarterback. Derek Carr's done. Jared Sidman. I want to speak to you about this. Sidman's the quarterback now. How do you think Devontae Adams feels about this, Rich? Because him and Carr were like the two guys going to hook it up, get the Raiders to the promised land. We thought this division would be great. This is crazy, Rich. It's a 9.5 point favorite for the 49ers today. I think the 49ers win this game in Las Vegas. I think the Raiders are done. No playoffs, nothing. D-O-N-E, done for the Raiders. 49ers, I take 9.5 points.
49ers are going to win handily. Not to mention the fact that you got the whole Oakland-San Francisco thing there. There's going to be, the amount of fights that are going to be in the stands there. All the gang members are going to be coming out to this game. But 49ers and the Raiders. Yeah, the 49ers right now are just a cut above even the best teams in the NFL. And like I said, I've been talking about them all year, and I've been talking about their offensive line, and I've been talking about their defensive line, and I've been talking about Bosa. Now, you want to talk about, you just mentioned something, that the Raiders quarterback, he's their draft pick, right?
Jared Stidman, yes.
I know nothing about him. What I do know about him is, though, I'm going to go back to the point that there's a guy on the other side of the ball for him that's going to be staring him in the eyes, is going to make him shit his pants. I think that Nick Bosa is going to be talking to that young kid the entire game. He's going to tell him how he's going to rip his throat out. He's going to tell him how he's going to kill him. He's going to tell him how he's going to murder his family, whatever. but I think Nick Bosa is going to put the fear of God into that young quarterback. Devontae Adams, he's just going to go out there and kind of like jog, like he's on a morning jog because, hey, my buddy's gone. Who's going to throw me the football now? Raiders, you're a team in shambles right now. Derek Carr couldn't get it done. And Derek Carr was a pretty good quarterback. So the Raiders, as their season tanking, going downhill, the 49ers, Brock Purdy's going to have a big game too, I think. I mean, he's just going to manage the game. The 49ers have to continue to roll and have to just continue to show everybody that they're going to be Super Bowl champions this year. So the 49ers win big today against the Raiders. Big.
Rich, now your team, the Jets, going to Seattle. The Jets off a loss against Jacksonville last Thursday night. Seattle's lost 3 in a row, so they're struggling too. They're only 3 and 4 at home. It's a close game. I'm going to let you pick first. The Jets are 1.5-point favorites over the Seahawks today in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, that's good. Listen, that's good. You let me pick first. That's fine. The Jets. I had to pick the Jets. Last week, I destroyed them. I murdered the Jets organization. Why? Because Zach Wilson was at the quarterback. Again, you don't want to hear me talking about Zach Wilson again because I could just say so much about that kid. But the reason why I'm a little calmer now about my Jets fandom is because I really do think Mike White's the quarterback of this football team. Mike White's not the flashy guy that everybody wants, but Mike White's a game manager who could go out there and throw for 350 yards. And now you know who's very happy that Garrett Wilson's not playing is I'm sure the rookie of the year and future best wide receiver in football and Garrett Wilson is very happy today that Mike White's playing. And Mike White's going out there with some tender ribs too. Don't forget also. Seahawks got a pretty good defense. And I don't want to hear the bullshit about, Geno Smith. Listen, Geno Smith, he's fine. I'm rooting for the kid that, it's not my fault. I had no hate towards Geno Smith, but I want the Jets to keep Geno Smith in check today, just for the simple fact that he had a good season, and they need to win this football game. So this again, big football game. Jets and Dolphins both win today to set up what I think biggest game of the year next week. The Jets win today in Seattle. I don't give a shit about the 12th man because they're not the couple of years ago Seattle home games. It's loud, but it's not loud like it used to be. The Jets have to go in there and they have to win this football game today. And Mike White's going to have a big game today. He's going to have, he's going to manage the game. The Jets are going to go in and surprise all Jet fans, and maybe we ride into the playoffs off these next 2 wins. Patriots lose. Dolphins and Jets win today for the setup for next week. I am picking the New York Jets to win today. Don't let me down, New York Jets.
I'm going the other way, Rich. I'm thinking Seattle plus 1.5. I think those East Coast teams that fly out on the West Coast have a disadvantage with the time and stuff. I know the Jets flew out on Friday, but with the New Year's Eve celebrations last night, who knows what happened. The Seahawks slept in their own bed, so I think there's some intangibles with that. These teams going out there, especially during a holiday. Thinking the Seahawks plus 1.5 in this game. Another team that's going for a playoff berth, the Green Bay Packers hosting the Vikings. The Packers are 3.5-point favorites. Aaron Rodgers trying to lead the Packers in a last-minute playoff run. Green Bay is 15-0 in December games with Matt LaFleur as the head coach. Justin Jefferson going for a record, had 184 yards and 2 touchdowns in their first game and has 300-yard games in a row. But I'll let you pick on this one, Rich. Packers 3.5-point favorites at home. What do you think about this game?
I think this game is exposing the Vikings just by looking at the point spread, exposing the Vikings to what I think they are. Let's go. Packers win this game, and the reason why the Packers win this game is because I've been saying it all season. The Vikings, listen, they have the record. They look like this sexy team. Their defense, they're suspect. They're pulling out games in the last minute. They're not overwhelming. They're not that team that's got all these wins, and you look at their record and it's like, wow, they must have been kicking the shit out of everybody. No, they do have the worldly wide receiver. They have a quarterback that can throw for 900 yards. They got a running back. Listen, it's just got to say something. I know the game's in Green Bay, and I know Green Bay's been playing mediocre football all year, but there's just something about Aaron Rodgers saying to him, you win this game, A, Vikings lose home field advantage, B, we get into the playoffs, and C, I'm taking the Packers because that says something to me about the Vikings. The Vikings are going out in the first round of the playoffs no matter who they play, whether it's the first week or the second week. The Vikings are going out in the first round. Packers win this game in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, gets a little bit of accolades back from his fandom, and they go into, I don't know how they're going to do in the playoffs, but Green Bay Packers win this football game even at minus 3.5. Oh, plus 3.5. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a 4 o'clock game for Kirk Cousins. We know Kirk Cousins is Mr.
Yep.
1 o'clock. I just hope Justin Jefferson gets me a lot of yards in my fantasy championship, my work league. But we'll see what happens. But Rich, I have to agree with you. I think Aaron Rodgers is on a mission to get this team to the playoffs. I think the Packers cover with the 3.5 today. Then we're moving to Los Angeles, where both Los Angeles teams will play each other today. How convenient is that? We got the Rams, the Chargers are the actual home team, and 7.5-point favorites. I'm sorry, 6.5-point favorites. The Battle of LA, Baker Mayfield's trying to be a spoiler, although the Chargers already made the playoffs. The Chargers heating up lately. This will be a close one, though. I'm actually going to take the Rams plus 6.5 in this game.
I'm taking the Chargers because the Chargers are that team that they were just supposed to almost be there. They're supposed to be like this big team. Justin Herbert, this is his season. Okay, this has to be a big win for the Chargers today. I know they're already in the playoffs. I understand their implications. They're not the first seed. They just kind of sauntered in. Justin Herbert has to come in there and play a good game today. He has to. He hasn't thrown a touchdown. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. I don't think at all last week. I know they got. Yeah, the Chargers got to win. They have to win this game. They got to win by at least 2 touchdowns, man, because they have to go in there. And Justin Herbert has to show that he's going to be a playoff quarterback, and he's going to take on whoever he meets in the first round, whether it be the Bengals, whether it be the Bills, the Jets, whoever it may be. The Chargers have to go in there and not kick back just because they're in the playoffs. They have to go in for momentum. So Herbert's got to come in and have a good game just for momentum purposes, just to roll on to the playoffs. Because they were, iffy in the beginning, and they're rolling now. They used all their iffy games in the beginning. Now they got to roll. So the Chargers are going to win this game.
Okay, and then finishing up with the 2 primetime games, we have tonight's game, which was flexed.
Why?
I didn't realize this was the game, but it's the Pittsburgh Steelers with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 2.5-point favorites. Lamar Jackson's status up in the air, although he probably won't play. Baltimore won the first meeting by 2. It's going to be one of those close games again, Rich. I think the Steelers are still alive in the playoffs. Some things have to fall into place, but I'll let you pick this one, Rich, as we've been going back and forth. So you take this one first, and then I'll give you my pick. This
is listen, on a normal season, this game will be a lot bigger than it actually is. Personally, I don't know why they flexed that game. They should have flexed the Dolphins and Patriots game, but if I was the if I was the NFL, that's what I would have done. But the Steelers and Ravens through the years have become this rivalry, but they hate each other. They want to beat the shit out of each other. There's no Lamar Jackson today. And either of those Steelers have a very, very slim chance of making the playoffs. The Steelers still want to go in there and beat up Baltimore at home and kind of like let them know that, we're still here and, we're going to kick your ass today. So the Steelers are a prideful football team. Whether they're going to make the playoffs or not, they're an organization that's still going to come and they're going to play 100%. And I think the Steelers would love to put a black eye on Baltimore and come in to Baltimore and show them that Baltimore is not really a good football team without Lamar Jackson. So the Steelers are going to win this football game tonight and Baltimore, and I'm taking the Steelers.
Me too, Rich. I just don't see the Ravens as they're a 10-5 team. I mean, I just see them one out in the playoffs. They're kind of like Tennessee Titans last year. Where the Titans the #1 team, and then they in playoffs they were, they were just like limped to the playoffs, the finish line. I just see the Steelers keeping this game close. It might be a 1-point win for Baltimore, but you know what though? I just see this. It's a close game. I think the Steelers could even win by a field goal. Steelers plus 2.5 in this, and then the mega granddaddy of them all, the game tomorrow that foreshadows the AFC divisional playoffs. The Bengals have won 7 straight games. Buffalo has lost 2 road games by a combined total of 5 points this season. This matchup will not disappoint. The Buffalo Bills are the favorites in Cincinnati. The Buffalo Bills are 1.5-point favorites. Rich, you want to do this one first? Or you want me to do it first?
I'll take this game first. Joe Burrow goes in there in his home field, makes a statement, and they beat the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills have shown in the past that when they have a good quarterback that they have to play against, that it's a little iffy. That defense is not going to be able to contain Joe Burrow from all angles. I think that, and Joe Burrow's pissed off. And that's a point that I'm making. Joe Burrow is pissed off. He wants to play Pat Mahomes in that championship, which I think is going to happen. This game right here is going to be who is going to play in the championship, I think, against the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Burrow in his home field today makes a statement. Joe Burrow goes in there and he beats the Bills. It's going to be a great football game, but in his home stadium, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and all the other Cincinnati Bengals who've been waiting so long to get into that Super Bowl, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals beat Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Don't
can't
know.
understand the way the Bengals have been playing lately. I mean, I have to go with the Bengals in this one too, Rich. I mean, I just don't see Josh Allen going in, and it's going to be a close game. There's going to be a lot of points scored, but I think at the end, the Cincinnati Bengals will beat the Buffalo Bills, closing out Week 17, heading to Week 18 next week. Just want to let you know that I drank a large iced coffee during this show, Rich, so I don't have too much time.
I got you, dude. I got you.
Before I have to run up.
Hey, I want to make a quick little statement. I don't know, Dan. I don't know. Hold on one sec. Before you hang up, E, I want to look at Dan and Stephanie. You guys are listening right now. Dan, you said he had somebody there that wants to introduce himself as a Met fan. We got about 20 minutes left, and I know he wants to run with his fantasy team. So if you want to call in right now, I'd like to meet your buddy that's a Met fan. I could talk to him for about 5 minutes, and maybe he'll be on. You guys have come on for future Mets talk. So if you want to call in, I'll be here, for a minute or two when E leaves. Just if you want, I know you want to introduce him to me. So if you want to call in, when we're done here talking about football, please call in. If not, we'll talk at another time. But sorry, I know you want to introduce somebody to me through the podcast who's a big Mets fan. So.
Well, that's fine. We're looking for new guests all the time, new people all the time, Rich, to call in and stuff. But yeah, I'd say another great show there, sir.
Absolutely, my friend. All right, so listen, we're gonna be texting back and forth. My family is actually all up and stirring right now. My wife is saying that we might be going up to do that Mid-Hudson Bridge walk over to Mid-Hudson Bridge today. So listen, Jets play at 4:00. I might wind up doing that. To get myself mentally prepared for the Jet game. So maybe we hold on one second. Dan, just hold on 1 second, brother. I'm gonna hang up with E, then I'll talk to you for a minute. All right? Give me 1 second. All right, E. Oh, hold on a second. E. All right, buddy. So, yeah, I might be doing that today. I might go up to the Mid-Hudson Bridge. And, yeah, we'll see, buddy. And like I said, I'll be texting back and forth, but I will definitely be here for the Jet game.
Good luck to you and your fantasy championship today, Rich. I got mine at work and stuff, a lot on the line. A lot of other stuff going on this week, but we catch up sometime. And looking forward to episode 27 as 26 was another hit, Rich. I really appreciate this podcast. And like I put in a Facebook post yesterday after losing my dad and a lot of things going on this year, this podcast was kind of a diversion. And I look forward to another great year with you, Rich, and doing this, and all of our guests, our friends that call in and stuff. It's amazing. Love it. And just a happy and healthy new year to you, Rich, and your family, and all our listeners out there. Nothing but happiness, health, and wealth in the year of 2023.
Yes, guys. Like I said, Happy New Year, and thank you very much for all the support you guys are giving us. And E, like I said, it's the end of the season, it's the end of the year, and we're going to be going head forth into the new year. This is not over, guys. We're only getting better. Thanks for the support. All right, E, I'll talk to you a little bit later, buddy. All right, enjoy your day.
Take care, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, brother. Happy New Year. Hey, listen, Dan, if you're still out there listening, give me a buzz here if you want to call in. I'll hang on for a minute there because I know you guys don't want to talk baseball. Anybody wants to go away, but I got about 5 minutes to meet a new Met fan. So if you'd like to call in, I'll be here for a second. And like I said, I might be going up to the Mid-Hudson Bridge today to take a peek on a New Year's Day. We're going to try and okay, here we go. Trying. Hold on a second here. Yeah, try again, Dan. I don't know what happened here. Hold on a second. Call-ins. Hold on. Second. Allow call-ins. Yeah, you should be all right, Dan. Let's see. How about this here? Let me see. I might have a way of doing this here. Hold on. No. I don't know why you can't call in there, Dan. You should be able to. It says disabled. No, it's all it's ready to go. Let's see. Hold on. Call-ins. All right. Allow call-ins. I don't know. All right, Dan. I don't know, dude. I'm sorry. It says here it's allowed. I don't know why you can't call in. Try one more time and let me know what happens. There you are. Invite. Done. All right. Hey, Dan, you there?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. We got about 10 minutes left here. I know you want to introduce a Met fan to us. You got a special guest there, but what do you got going on? Happy New Year to you and Stephanie, brother, and your wonderful family.
I have someone that wants to say Happy New Year too.
Perfect.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you? Hello? Good. Are you going to be watching football today and with Daddy, or are you going to be watching sports with Daddy today?
I already have the Giants stuff on. Don't worry.
Nice. Now, is this a budding Mets fan as well, Dan?
Is she a Mets fan?
Is this a budding Mets fan as well? Yes.
Yes, big time.
Hi.
Absolutely. Her favorite player is who? Diaz? Yeah, Diaz.
Edwin Diaz. What about Pete Alonso?
That's the little guy. He's a Pete Alonso guy. She likes Diaz. She likes the soul.
Nice. What I'm probably gonna get cut off here in a minute or two, Dan. Let me ask you a question. Today, I know you're a big Giant fan. You heard us talking about the Giants. What do you think about the Giants today, dude? What do they have to do today in Indianapolis? Do they got to go in there and play a decent game, or do they got to go in there and make a statement and Daniel Jones throw for 400 yards? What do you think about today's Giant game, dude?
Absolutely make a statement, because I'm already seeing that they want to sign long-term contracts to Daniel Jones and Barkley. So this needs to be a statement game. Get into the playoffs very easily, and see what happens when it comes from there. But I think honestly, this is the game that they really need to just show up and just absolutely destroy them.
Absolutely,
it can't be a close game, because then they'll lose.
I couldn't agree more. I hope so, because I just took Tom Brady out to put Daniel Jones. I don't know if you heard. I put Daniel Jones in to play in the Super Bowl for me today. So I hope Daniel Jones rushes and throws today. Huh?
He lost fantasy for me 2 weeks ago.
Did he really? Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm playing in the Super Bowl today against one of my buddy's sons, Ben. So
they give Indianapolis gives up a ton of points, so you should be very good. I mean, there shouldn't be any issues with this game today, and especially at home. And it's gonna be a rocking place.
All right, so like I said, I'm going to get cut off here in about a minute or two. But like I said to you, we got both of our teams. I know you're a big Giant fan. I want you to hear from a big Jeff fan. Let's go Big Blue today, bro. I want both teams in the playoffs. Let's go Big Blue.
Happy New Year. Hope to see you soon, okay?
All right, guys. Happy New Year. It was great talking to you. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off now. I got to find out what everybody's going to be doing for the rest of the day. I might be walking over a bridge, or I might be watching football all day. Don't know. So... listen, if I take a walk over to Mid-Hudson Bridge, I might go live to see, show you guys the view, what's going on over there. So, again, thank you for wrapping up episode 26, guys. I love doing the show with E. We got so much more in store to come for 2023. We're going to be here. We're not going away, guys. Thanks a lot for all your support, and look for episode 27 coming up. Also, I'm going to be doing that wrestling interview. I'm going to be interviewing Kieran Mitchell about Gaelic football. So I got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. So thanks for all your support, guys. And like I always say, later. All right, Facebook Live. Hey, Happy New Year, Josh. I saw you come in at the end there. Thanks a lot. All right, guys. We'll see you this week. I'm gonna pop on with something this week as well. I have something in store for Tuesday. I'm probably gonna be doing that interview with the Gaelic football Kieran Mitchell. So I don't know if he's watching or if I'm looking really forward to meeting you and to explaining the great sport of Gaelic football and what it's doing for the youth in our community. So, all right, guys, Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot.